Masters of pain. The Obama administration making the government shutdown as difficult as possible for as many as possible, closing parks, campgrounds, museums, cemeteries, even parks they don't operate. Congressman Doc Hastings on the shutdown insanity. Well, this is breaking news. It is the first Friday of the month, and we would normally be reporting to you the new unemployment rate. But the government shutdown is ongoing. The Labor Department is not releasing that report on payrolls nor on the unemployment rate. So we can actually go back to better times, the Reagan recovery, when 30 years ago today, ironically, the federal government reported its best jobs report ever. 1 million jobs created in 1 month in September of 1983. The unemployment rate was then 9.2%. It would go on to decline to 5.4% by the time Ronald Reagan left office. Monuments and memorials on the National Mall in Washington remain closed on the fourth day of this government shutdown. But the Obama administration is also forcing hundreds of privately operated businesses on federal property to close. My next guest says the Obama administration is going out of its way to make this shutdown as painful as possible for as many citizens as possible, and his committee is planning to investigate these closures, particularly of open-air monuments. Joining us now is Congressman Doc Hastings. He chairs the House Natural Resources Committee. And Congressman, good to have you with us. I mean, as we've been reporting, the number of these monuments that have been closed, and most perhaps best known, the World War II Memorial, an open-air monument, barricaded. What is going on here?
Well, Lou, I think you have to look at this in the context of government shutdowns, especially this shutdown and the last shutdown. In the last shutdown, this didn't happen. All the open-air monuments were open to the public. But there's no question when I think in this case, actions speak much, much more louder than words. They are going out of their way to make this shutdown as painful as they possibly could. And we see that here in Washington, D.C., but it's not confined just to here. They are using concessionaires, closing down essentially concessionaires, private businesses that are located on national park lands, depriving them of their livelihood by shutting down those areas, and that wasn't done in 1996 or 1995 either. So I think in this case, I think clearly, from my point of view, this administration is going out of their way to make it as painful as possible to make their political point.
And in a recent, in one of the newest polls, we see 88% of Americans say that government is in charge of their lives. And watching this, I can't believe the National Park Service will soon recover from what they are doing and the manner in which they've done it. And I understand it's at the orders of the President of the United States, but also we're hearing from anecdotally that they've been instructed and ordered by their superiors to make this as painful as possible.
And well, we are going to explore that and find out exactly where this happened. But the people that are really hurt on this are the park rangers that are on the ground, that have to take orders from on high and tell people they can't go in and enjoy our national treasures. They're the ones that are really being messed over, I think, in this particular case. And it does. I think it's going to be a black eye. It's going to be hard to overcome. But we're going to try to find out over time how this all came about.
Well, good for you. And let's turn now to what is going on in the House. There is word from the Democratic side that, in fact, a deal is already cut on the continuing resolution that would be $986 billion that John Boehner and Harry Reid have cut that deal. Is that true?
No, that wasn't there was a broad agreement on that. But we felt, and I think rightfully so, that there are some problems with Obamacare. In full disclosure, I don't like Obamacare. I think it's bad law. Mm-hmm. And so we put a provision on the latest proposal, latest compromise that we sent to the Senate, that there should be a 1-year delay. That's a fair for individuals. Right. That is simply a fairness thing when you give big business and you give big labor waivers. Why would you do that?
I couldn't agree with you more, Congressman, but at the same time, these reports, you're saying categorically there is no baked-in deal between Reid and Boehner.
No, the way you get a baked-in deal is when you have differences of opinion. After all, the House and the Senate are two different bodies. When they have different opinion, the way you work it out is you discuss your differences and negotiate. And that is what isn't happening. We simply are not negotiating. We've heard that over and over from Senator Reid and from the President. That's not the way our country is supposed to work.
And let's turn to the fact that there are reports after reports that there is division in the Republican caucus. I've got two questions on that real quickly. We're out of time.
Sure.
One, will your leadership stand strong and maintain their current position, or do you expect them to wobble and then weaken and perhaps give in altogether to the Obama administration? And secondly, is your caucus capable of maintaining that solidarity if your leadership is strong enough to maintain its position?
I think, let me take the second one first. I think our leadership is very strong on that. And as a matter of fact, when you look at these last 10 votes that you alluded to earlier in the in your program, all the Republicans voted for that. The dissension was on the Democrat side. There's been 57 defectors on the Democrat side supporting our position. So the bipartisan support, frankly, is on our side on this. And then secondly, we will come to a conclusion when there is negotiations with the Senate. That's our position. That's the way, that's the American way. That's what our founders wanted to do. When you have differences, you negotiate. So come to the negotiating table, and then we'll look at the final product and act accordingly. But that's not going to happen until we have negotiations with the Senate. It's pretty simple. It's pretty black and white.
Congressman Doc Hastings, good to have you here. Thank you.
Lou, thank you very much.